everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Mariah, and I used to do videos like this a very long time ago. Raw, uncut, no music added, just me and a camera ranting about something, right? It's been a while. A long time. And you all are here to get a fresh take on the Cody and Satori issue. Well, who am I even to speak about this, right? I'll give you a little bit of background on me, I guess, then. My name is Mariah. I think I already said that. And I was born on Halloween night, so I've always been into the paranormal. I've always been into the dark, mysterious, the unexplained, seeking and finding truth myself, digging for answers. And I am a true believer in a lot of things that some might find silly or ridiculous. So here's my viewpoint on all this. And I'll start off saying, like, I think it's another cop-out and excuse of Cody and Satori to kind of say, like, oh, if you're a skeptic, you're just not going to believe these things, okay? So let's take that out of the equation for a second and just hear me out. Okay, I didn't put any makeup on, I don't have any fancy backgrounds or anything. It's just me giving my thoughts on this situation. So let's take the paranormal out of it. We'll start off here. Let's say you know a person, and this is gonna be a metaphor, but I'm gonna try to make it as similar as possible to kind of show the ridiculousness of the situation. You know someone and they say, I can't drive a car unless this person is in the car with me. I can't be in a car, can't drive a car. Like, can't do that. Okay, but you work for a car company. Yeah, that's true. I do work for a car company, but the only time I can drive a car, is with this other person in the car with me. All right, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they're afraid of cars for some reason. I don't know. Maybe something happened in their life. Who knows? But maybe they never learned how to drive. Maybe, they never even tried to drive. Let's just say that that's true. This person definitely said that they can only do this when this person is with them, right? All right, fine. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt on that. As ridiculous as it sounds, okay. Well, then you run into someone else and they go, well, that's very odd that they told you that, because here's this video of them driving years and years earlier. And you're like, oh, that is a bit odd. They're definitely driving a car and the other person's not in the car with them. Huh. Okay. And the other crazy thing is that the person says that they don't drive for money, but yet they work at a car company, right? And the other person is like, nah, man, they drive around cars all the time, like while they're on the clock. That's part of the reason that they get paid, is to drive around these cars, these fancy cars, and show them off, or give other people tours, or whatever the situation may be. But that's definitely part of their job. They definitely get paid for that. All right. Well, now you're questioning the person's integrity and honesty. And it's not because it's something that's unbelievable. There are many explanations of why this can happen or why this can't happen, right? It's because the narrative that they gave you doesn't match up with the reality of the situation. So let's go back to Cody and Satori. It's the same exact thing. They're telling you that they don't do this for money, although that they work in the paranormal. There's no reason for them to say that they don't do it for money. Let's kind of ask ourselves why someone would lie about the narrative. Okay, so why was this even brought up? Why was this an untruth, if you will, or not the whole truth, at the very least? Why is this part of the narrative? I can only assume it's to bring more credibility, right? Like, because why else would they say that? They work in the paranormal. They obviously make money doing paranormal stuff. They have their own website. They do shows where they perform these abilities. So they definitely make money doing it. Now, if they don't do it one-on-one for people, okay, but they still definitely make money doing it. That was still an untruth. That is part of the narrative. So why? The only thing that I could come up with that makes sense is that those three sisters did their thing for money, and they wanted to point out we don't do it for money, to make a distinction between them, because they know it's the exact same thing, and the three sisters, because they even brought the three sisters up themselves in an interview or two. They brought it up. They brought up that they don't make money off of it, and they brought up the sisters themselves. They dug that hole. Okay? Why is it part of the narrative? It didn't have to be part of the narrative. They could have fully admit, yep, they didn't even have to bring money into it. People know that they're in the paranormal, and that's how they make money. It could have been not a topic whatsoever. The only reason that was there is to bring credibility. And it was an untruth, which then discredits them. They are discrediting themselves, right? So then we go to we can't do this at all unless we're touching. That's when you hear the sounds, because that's definitely what they said in the Sam and Colby video, is that you can only hear these sounds when we're touching. We found out that we can do this when we were touching. Then we started to figure out that it was things trying to communicate with us. That's not true, because first of all, Cody had done it years earlier. That exact method of asking the spirits to knock, spelling things out with the alphabet, and everything to do with that. So even if they did touch and it was amplified or whatever, they would already know, like, oh, these are knocking sounds like we've experienced before. Let's try to spell out that. That would be your first thing to go to, not like, we didn't even know it was like spirits trying to communicate. No, you're already used to that. You already know, right? Let's say that it was real and it did happen. They would have already known immediately what it was. However, he is already doing the thing. They do already know about it. And to say that, like, it only happens when they touch, which is what they said in the Sam and Colby video. And since then, they have backpedaled and said, well, yes, he's done it before. Every paranormal person asks for knocks, which is true. And we just refined it over the years. We noticed that when we touch, the sounds are amplified. But that is not what you see in the Sam and Colby video. You see them break hands, and there is dead silence, no knocking whatsoever. But if Cody had done these things before and is getting responses with the alphabet, but it's not as good unless they touch, then you would still hear faint tapping and knocking. You would still hear it sporadically and randomly. It would still be there. You could still communicate, just not as well, right? Stands to reason. Because that's what they're saying now. Like, oh, it just amplifies it. It makes it easier for them to communicate. But the communication would still be there. It would still be there because he's done it before. So they're still lying about that. Now, why is that the narrative at all whatsoever? Why is that part of the narrative? It's to bring another special layer into it, to pull at people's heartstrings. They're soulmates. They have a special connection that enables them to do this. They don't know why it happens. They just seem to be like two special people that are drawn to each other, that these things happen to. They're super special. Their love is powerful, like that's another layer to convince people that this thing is real. So, I mean, if you look at the major lies and why they were done, you can kind of easily see, well, this is probably most likely not true, right? And then there's a few other things that I don't think I've heard anyone point out before. And that's the first thing that I noticed was that really weird occurrence of Colby, when he's in the Conjuring house, hearing his own voice echo back at him from another room, from another place. And it only happened for about 30 seconds and then it stopped. And it was only Colby. Like, it was centered at Colby, right? Sam's voice didn't echo, just Colby's did. And then they went on to say, like, throughout the series that it had happened randomly for short periods of time throughout the series, that they heard these weird echoes of their own voices. So that got me thinking about, like, ventriloquists, being able to throw your voice, being able to throw sound. And if the house was set up with microphones and speakers, you would hear that off and on. Maybe it accidentally, like, triggered for some reason, but it's only supposed to be set up for the Cody and Satori thing, so you can hear the sounds being reflected in different areas of the house, and hear it walk up, hear it walk away, hear it pop over here, upstairs, downstairs, like all around you. But it's because there's, something set up to have that happen. That's my theory on that. Why can you hear it happening all around outside? Well, they're relying on sounds that naturally occur outside that might happen around the same time to kind of, like, give that extra panache to that. Because I noticed when they were in the warehouse, it wasn't quite as extreme. You could hear, like, and she says, like, she's guiding you to think this, oh, you can hear them walking away because the sound gets quieter, right? But it's not like they could hear it up in the rafters and then over to the side of them and over this, over that. They kept on pointing that they heard the sounds around them, and they kept on guiding the spirits to, like, do it right here around us. Well, they're telling you where you want to hear the sound. First of all, it's a classic magic trick of look over here, look over here. They're guiding you at where to look. They're guiding you at where you're going to hear these things. Okay? So then we have to also look at the fact that it is not easy to find out information. And in fact, all the information that they've ever shared was all public knowledge. There was no private information or real private message that was something that could have possibly not been known to anyone else besides the two people, the deceased and the person. It was all dates, nicknames, places that a person died, this, that, whatsoever. So how did they know that stuff randomly outside of the house? Well, they live there. They've had ample time to research the entire area and memorize different places and different people that died around those places to make it seem like they have this ability. And why would they do that? Why would they do that? That's such an elaborate hoax. Well, their whole thing is this thing. That's what they're doing for a living, people. This is what they're doing. So yeah, they would do that. And actors do the same thing. They memorize whole scripts so that they can go and act and do the whole acting thing and know their part. Like, that is part of it. It is a very logical and simple explanation. And why I think this is exactly what happened and is exactly the truth is because Cody even slipped when they were in the warehouse, okay? They were talking to another spirit, Terry, right? And did they ask Terry where he was from, if he lived around there, if he worked around there, if he died around? Did they ask any of those questions? No. Cody just said, oh, he must have died in the vicinity. That is an odd thing to do, to just assume that. When you're in the paranormal field, you always ask where, when, Why? How? Did you live here? Did you work here? Did you die here? Get a response first. They never asked those questions. They never got a response from the spirit saying that. It was Cody that said that. He accidentally slipped up and said that. This guy died in the vicinity. Well, he did die in the vicinity of that warehouse. He didn't have anything to do with the warehouse, but how could Cody have possibly known this information? Is he psychic? They both said that they're not mediums whatsoever, that this thing, they don't know why it happens. It just happens to them, right? They're not psychics. They're not mediums. So how could he have possibly known that information? Oh, because he already knew that information, because he researched it ahead of time. That is how he knew. It's not that amazing. It's like really, really simple when you look at it from a logic standpoint, a logical point of view. And I feel really bad for Sam and Colby that this is happening and that there's this huge controversy. You know, I feel really bad for Cody and Satori for not thinking it through a little bit further. They knew that Sam and Colby had millions of viewers, and I just thought it was weird that they know that they know that these things will come to light. They know that people will look into it. So why bring that on yourself? Why even try? Like they must have thought that they were very clever, but I do feel bad that they're getting so much hate and people personally attacking them when that shouldn't be the case whatsoever. We should just look at everything logically, have a logical and open discussion. And if they really aren't hiding anything, you know, if it was me personally that can do these things, I would be 100% on board with doing any experiment. Yep. Hook me up to like all kinds of sensors so you can see that it's not coming from my body. I'll wear a bikini. You can see my whole body. You know, we can do it on a plexiglass top. You can record it. We can do any type of experiment that you want to see that these sounds are not coming from me. I would be 100% on board to prove that the sounds are not coming from me. They won't even take off their shoes. And they're saying that like the three sisters, like, oh, they were frauds because they did it underneath a table. They wore long skirts. They did this and that, but they won't even take off their shoes. It is the same thing. Honestly, there's the same excuse, people. Same excuse. Do it without your shoes on. No socks. Do it in a bikini. In a shorter pair of like bathing shorts so we can see your knees. You know, with sensors hooked up to you. I'll believe then. Yeah. Prove that the sounds are not coming from your body. Because at this point, you've lied to the point where you need to redeem your integrity. I mean, that's what I have to say about that. Like, to anyone that believes still, even after like hearing all of that, that's fine. Like, I do have my own beliefs that are quite ridiculous and no one can take them from me, you know, because it's just something that makes me feel good. And at the end of the day, like, I don't see any harm in that, but I see harm in trying to convince other people of it. I would never try to convince other people of my silly little superstitions or beliefs just because they're my own. You know, they're just little things that make me happy. I don't, you know, I'm not trying to convince the whole entire world of it. You know, even in the channel, the paranormal channel that we have, I know quite well that putting any of that stuff on the internet, it doesn't really prove anything one way or another. And I know, you know, debunkers are going to come our way, believers are going to come our way, hate's going to come our way. I don't really, at the end of the day, like, I knew that going into it because I know everything on video can be faked. It's like, yeah, I don't, how can you not think that that's not going to come your way? You actually have to be in the experience to experience it. That That is true to a certain extent. And, man, I'm happy to bring people out and have them experience whatever for themselves, but we also don't claim that we're talking to spirits through a weird communication that could be coming from our body. Nothing like that. I just basically am filming our experiences. It is very similar to like other people that go out and experience the paranormal. You can name a lot of different channels that have different styles from documentary to like more entertainment. It's to have that experience and to share that experience, and if people find that entertaining at the end of the day, that's cool. If people want to say that this proves the paranormal or that does, that's cool too. If debunkers want to go in and say like this definitely isn't real because of this, that's cool too. Like, we definitely don't put anything in our videos to make it scary. And we leave in the fact that we're getting scared over nothing, and leave in the fact that we disagree what sounds are. It's just a fun entertaining time. And we actually go to places and debunk urban legends too, just to like prove to people that sometimes, not everything is what it seems. So I don't know what my point is with that, but just the fact that like, you can believe, you cannot believe. The logical things that I'm saying should be food for thought, because we should always have an analytical mind, and we should have a reason for believing something or not, because stuff like this, the Cody and Satori thing, could be quite harmful. I've seen a lot of comments where people were believers and they're like, well, now that I've seen them disproved, I'm kind of becoming way more skeptical, and they're losing hope and faith, which is not good. And also, these type of people make it hard for, Sam and Colby, because if they're trying to be genuine, if they're trying to be genuine and they're interviewing these people and really believing them, it's going to be harmful to their channel. So I just want everyone to think about that. And if you're thinking about like, creating a scam or anything, even if you think it's out of hope and love, and there are people that you will hurt with that, because just simply because it is not honest and it is not true, and we should strive for honesty and truth and justice and love and hope and being positive, and everything that Sam and Colby stand for. That is amazing, and that should be the message, but also it's just some food for thought. Anyway, thank you for listening to me ramble for about 23 minutes. I hope you have a great day. See you probably in 5 years.